Hey everybody, I know what you're saying. What is this? Is it a podcast? It's on YouTube. I don't know exactly what this is. This is something new I wanted to do for a long time, and I never really made it happen. And I figured, hey, why not now? Let's do this. It's going to be some kind of podcast right now on this very first episode. I'm going to call it Country Talk or maybe Talking Country. I don't really have a name yet. If you can think of a good name for it, let me know. But here's my goal, is to come on here, talk country music, old country music, not this bro country. You're not going to hear any Georgia Florida line talk here unless you just want to hear me bash it. So we're going to talk mostly late 80s, early 90s country. That's the kind of country music I grew up on. So that's my goal here. One thing, I hope that you all like this. If I get enough views and enough likes, so hit that like button. Comments, let me know you enjoy this, and I'll do another one. My goal is, if I can make a hit out of doing this podcast, or whatever you want to call it, I'm going to put it on iTunes and stuff so you can listen to it on your phone after that. And then I'm going to try to get guests. I've got some country music people that follow me on our Twitter account, which is Real Country News, which I'm going to change the name of that and kind of redo the whole Twitter thing. So I'm not really ready to promote that yet. But let's say I've got like Mark Chestnut follows me on there, so I can DM him or maybe whoever his representative is. So hopefully I can use someone in contact with in Twitter to maybe get some guests on the show. That's my ultimate goal, is to talk to guests. But I just really wanted to talk country music because I love country music, and I've looked over podcasts and stuff, and I can find people talking about new country. I can find people talking about maybe the legends of country. There's a podcast called Walking the Floor. I forget the guy's name. He's from the Foo Fighters. He's one of the guitarists. But it's an amazing podcast. And he'll have people on. It's not always country, but he'll have people on, like he had Steve Earle a couple months ago. That's a really good show. But it's not really aimed at just country artists. And a lot of his country music is rooted back in the older country. And I really want to focus on that late 80s, early 90s. Because to me, that was a significant time for country music and an amazing time for country music. Maybe it's just, maybe it's just me looking back at rose-colored glasses, because that's when I grew up. That was my teens, coming into early 20s. But the country music for that time period was just amazing. So this first little episode is mostly going to be about me and how I got into country music. I think that's what I'm going to talk about. But again, nothing's planned out. I didn't write anything down. I didn't come up with topics. I'm going to try to do that on my next ones. But this one right here, I'm just kind of talking to the top of my head. I am going to warn you. I might stutter. I might pronounce words wrong, and I might stumble over words. I'm going to try to do as much as I can without editing it, because it's going to be a nightmare to edit this thing. So we're just gonna talk country music, and hopefully when I get the Twitter redone and stuff, I'll be able to take your questions and be able to communicate with you back and forth. But got anything you want me to cover or anything you want to talk about? Leave in the comments below. Like I said, if you like this and you want me to do more, just let me know. Whew. Woo! So, what are we going to talk about in this first episode? Well, I figured the best place to start is 1986. I know what you're thinking. Why 1986? I was 14, going on 14, doing the math out of the top of my head. 1986 was the turning point of country music for me. Now, I liked country music before then. I was really into Merle Haggard, but I was really mostly into Hank Williams Jr. The first Hank Jr. album I ever bought, I say album, but it was on a cassette tape, was Habits Old and New. My brother was really into Hank. He's about 5 years older than me. He had Family Edition, Greatest Hits. He had all the classics. He never had Habits Old and New, and I saw it at Kmart, and I said, I'm buying it. I think I was with my grandma. She bought it for me, and I was part of it was to make my brother jealous, because look, he's got this. But that's the first Hank Jr. album that I really dug into. Like I said, my brother owned, I keep saying albums, but he owns the tapes. The Whiskey Bin and Hellbound. He had them all. Whiskey Bin and Hellbound, Family Tradition. Oh, now I'm drawing a blank. Well, no, that one's actually mine. But anyway, we're not going to get here to naming all the Hank stuff. But he had a lot of them right around that early 80s time. But some reason he didn't have Habits Old and New, and I bought it thinking mostly just going to make him jealous. I knew I was going to listen to it. I knew I liked Hank Jr., but I said, I'll just listen to one or two times, and he'll probably end up taking it from me and put it in his tape collection or taking it in his car, and I'll never see it again. Funny story is he did take my Hank Williams Jr.'s Have His Old New Cassette out of town with him to the beach. Some guy said he's been looking for it and couldn't find it. I don't know why he couldn't find it where he lived, and my brother said he gave it to the guy at the beach, and he bought me another one. The story sounds a little fishy to me. Really? I mean, who walks up to somebody on the beach and, hey, what you listening to? Hank Jr., Have His Old New. Anyway, it's just me. That sounds a little fishy, right? I'm going to have to ask my brother about that. That sounds a little crazy now that I'm older. But yeah, Have His Old New I really dug into. Really enjoyed that album. I'm trying to... Okay, like I said, what year did Have His Old New came out? It was already old when I bought it. It was released in June of 1980. So yeah, we're talking, this is part 85 when I bought it. So it was already an old classic. But let's see, it's got Old Habits. Who doesn't like Old Habits? One of Hank Jr.'s best songs, Dinosaur. If you don't know Dinosaur, look it up. In fact, I'll play a little bit of it here for you.
You're singing a song about making love to your drummer. Well, gay guitar pickers don't turn me on. And we don't all get into Donna Summer. Do you happen to know any old Hank Williams song?
Yeah, Dinosaur. Now that's the one thing that's been really good about Hank Williams Jr. He's not an artist where you just know his hit songs. He's got, if you look at his albums, let's take Randy Travis. If I gave you 4 Randy Travis songs that weren't singles, I think most people wouldn't even know them. Now, that's not saying anything bad about Randy Travis. I love Randy Travis. But if I picked out 4 Hank Williams Jr. songs that wasn't singles, which I don't think Dinosaur was a single, I think a lot of people would know it if they're not hardcore Hank Jr. fans. And so we got Dinosaur, and then we had Kalijah, which was a cover of his dad's song. I like the Hank Sr. one better, but at the time I really loved the Kalijah. I don't understand at the end of the song, Hank Jr. says he's just a wooden head, but I didn't know Kalijah was just a wooden head. After that, we got Here I Am Falling Again, a very good slow ballad that I really like. I think that one's featured in the Living Proof Hank Williams Jr. movie. Has anybody seen the Hank Williams Jr. movie with the guy that played John Boy as playing Hank? I need to get that. I need to do a commentary with that one. That would be awesome. Do like a commentary track while I watch Hank Jr. movie. I loved it as a kid, that Hank Jr. movie, but I bet it's horrible now. It was made for TV, and like I said, Richard Thomas, the guy that played John Boy on the Waltons, played Hank Jr. I know people kind of make fun of that, but I think he did a really good. At least the young Hank Jr. I can see him playing the young Hank Jr. It's just when you think Hank Jr., you think the bearded Hank from the 80s, after the mountain fall. And John Boy doesn't really fit that style, but I can see John Boy playing the young Hank. But after Here I Am Falling Again, we got The Blues Man. And that's another one. I don't think that's a single, but you can ask Hank Jr. fans to name their top 10 Hank Jr. songs, and I would be very surprised that a Hank Jr. fan doesn't put The Blues Man in there. It's an amazing song. Why it wasn't a single, well, I can kind of see why it wasn't a single. It's not the type of song you probably hear on the radio, but The Blues Man was amazing. If you're new to all this kind of older country and you don't know Hank Jr. or you just know the newer Hank Jr. stuff, maybe his later stuff, go back, get Have Its Old New, start with The Blues Man. It's a song about his life, which is mostly what Hank did a lot of. But The Blues Man is an amazing album. It's an amazing song. Alan Jackson did a cover also. His Under the Influence, I think was the name of his cover album. It's pretty good too, and he kind of rewrote it to make it about Hank. So he kept in that where Hank sung about himself. Alan Jackson just didn't go back and do the song. He kind of redone it so it was about Hank Jr., which is a little interesting. I'm glad he did that. After The Blues Man, we had All in Alabama. Another song Hank Jr. probably wrote about Hank Jr. and Alabama. It's a really good song. I don't got much to say about it, but it was probably at the time, it was one of my favorite on the album. I really loved that one. This album was amazing. The American Way, classic Hank. I mean, just hearing it, the title right there, The American Way. It just sounds like Hank. There's a line in this song, and I did not get it until years later when I was a lot older. But there's a line. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, so sorry if the lines ain't just right. But it goes, okay, I know he's at the airport. He meets a woman, and she said, "Pardon me, sir, is that your horse outside?" "No, ma'am, he was between my legs, but you're too fat to ride." What? Can you believe he said that? I mean, that's in a country music song.
Some high society lady says, "Is your horse outside?" "No, ma'am, he's between my legs, but you're too fat to ride, and you're learning."
It didn't hit me as a kid listening to this album how dirty that line is. "No, ma'am, he's between my legs, but you're too fat to ride." I mean, really, that's amazing. American Way is classic Hank. I mean, it's got all the Hank stuff about America you would think. It's a really good song. And then we got another cover of his dad's song, "Move It On Over," which I really love. It's a good one too. "Move It On Over." If you hadn't heard that, his version of it's really good. "Won't It Be Nice," another slow ballad that's really, really good song about seeing his girlfriend again, and I think it's stuff on the road. I hadn't listened to it in a long time. In fact, I forgot how great this album was. So I was sitting here looking over the list, and I was like, oh, I've been going back and buying a lot of vinyl, and country music in that 80s, 90s on vinyl is hard to find. Luckily now they're doing some repressing of some of the big albums, but it's still kind of hard to find some of these albums on, especially in the late 80s. But Habits All New, I saw it one time at a store about a year ago, and I wish I didn't. I wish I bought it, and I didn't. Ugh, I'm crazy. Let's see what's next, and then we close out the album with man, I didn't know Chris Christopherson wrote this. Just listening to the song and everything, I thought that had to be a Hank Jr. song. I mean, it's about his dad. But we close out the album with "If You Don't Like Hank Williams, You Can Kiss My Ass." I mean, and Chris Christopherson wrote that song. Chris actually did it on an album before Hank's, and Hank redid it on this album. And I don't know what to say. I mean, everybody knows that. That's one of them songs. Like I said, I know this wasn't a single. There's no way you're going to really say it on the radio. Every Hank Jr. fan knows, if you don't like Hank Williams, you can kiss my ass. And they know every word to it. And that's why what's so good about Hank Jr. is that there's a lot of songs on his albums that wasn't singles, but everybody knows them. In fact, I have a hard time deciding what was singles and what was album cuts when it comes to Hank Jr. With Randy Travis, let's say Randy Travis, Clint Black, somebody like that. 9 out of 10 times I can tell you, oh, that was a single. But when it comes to Hank Jr., I can't do that. I mean, I can kind of do it with some of the later albums, because maybe that's because I was listening to them as the songs were coming out. But like I said, just looking over this, I think Old Habits was a single, but Dinosaur, The Blues Man, If You Don't Like Hank Williams, all those are essential classic Hank Williams Jr. songs, and I'm pretty sure none of them were singles. So that's Hank Jr.'s Habits All New. See, I was going to talk about 1986, and here I am talking about an album from 1980. But we got into it. Hank Jr. But that was my first country music album or CD or not CD, cassette. I bought on a cassette tape. My only other country before that, I was a lot younger, and I had the Chipmunks Urban Cowboy. And I still think, I still think the Chipmunks duet with Jerry Reed, Lunchbox, is a country classic. Maybe because I grew up on it. If you take the Chipmunks out and you just leave Jerry Reed in, hey, it's Jerry Reed. He can't do any wrong. But we're here to talk about 1986 and why 1986. Like I said, I was into Hank Jr. I think I was really starting to get into Mel McDaniel, but something about 1986, and it's just not me, that was a big shift in country music where it went from Janie Freaky, Kenny Rogers, that pop country that, you had the urban cowboy kind of fading out, and that pop country was taking over. The urban cowboy brought some of that pop in, and the pop was staying. And the thing is, pop's in country music now. I mean, country music is pop music now. And even that pop music there, that pop country, it's not as horrible as the pop country today. I mean, I much rather listen to someone like, I'm not gonna say Junior Freaky, but someone like Kenny Rogers. I much less. I much rather listen to a Kenny Rogers CD than a Georgia Florida Line CD. No, that's just me. That's just me. And I think it's gonna be most of you. But 1982, you had, first off, here's a little fact that I was looking up the other day, and I saw country music was the only time in 1986 where every week of that year you had a number one single that was a different song. Nobody had a number one song for 2 weeks, and that was the first time in the 42 years of history that it was a new song every week for number one. And that's pretty crazy. But like I said, 1986 was when that pop stuff was starting to fade. In 85, it was starting to fade some. I mean, you had George Strait come out in the 80s. He was already, he was building up his thing in the 80s. Then you had the Judds coming along. So you had a lot of these country people come up. 1986, though, you had Randy Travis, Dwight Yoakam, and Steve Earle. Those are the big three. And what I like about that, Randy Travis, of course, changed everything. When Randy Travis came in to country music, and I know he came before 1986, but his Storms of Life album was released in 86, and that's when it became a big hit. When Randy Travis hit, no one saw. I remember Ralph Emery on the Nashville Now, and Ralph Emery's been around country music his whole life almost. I mean, he knows. He said he's never seen anyone explode onto the country music scene like Randy Travis did. And I don't have anything to back this up, but Garth Brooks, when he came real big, that was the same year that they started scanning CDs at the store, SoundScan. And that, to me, created his big success. I think Randy Travis was as big as Garth Brooks was when Garth Brooks hit it big. But no one was scanning CDs then. They were kind of guessing at how much country music was selling by how much the stores reordered. So I think if they had SoundScan in 86, I think Randy Travis would have been even bigger than he is now. Or he was in 86 when Storms of Life came out. Or at least not by 87 when Always and Forever came out. That was a huge album too, and I think it would have been even bigger. I'm rambling here. So Randy Travis came out, and of course Dwight Yoakam came out that same year, and Steve Earle. Now I know there were some others that came out that year, but I'm just going to focus on these three real quick because they changed that pop music, but they were three country artists that had their own different sound. Totally different. I mean, Randy Travis was pure country. He reminded me of Ernest Tubb or Lefty Rizzell country. He was country by all means. And then you had Dwight Yoakam with his Buck Owens Bakersfield sound coming along. And I want to thank Dwight Yoakam for all he opened up to me as a teenager. It was amazing what he did. And then you had Steve Earle. That was, people were getting away from that pop country, but he was rock country. He was as rock as you could get, almost. I mean, he was almost like John Cougar Mellencamp rock. He was, if you look into his albums since then, and even Guitar Town, he did rock with roots of country, and that's why I like those three, because I was 18, so you could people always like, oh, that ain't country music. It shows that you can have three artists or more that can change country music. Can take the pop out and make it country. Yeah, they all three have their own unique sound, style, and you got your like I say, hardcore country, you got the hillbilly country, and then you got the rock country. There's nothing wrong with that. I see people all the time, he ain't country. Well, okay, Georgia Florida Line or Sam Hunt, I'll give you that. That might not be country. At least not to my eyes. It's not that it's not country. It's that they're not singing about anything anybody gives a shit about, except maybe 17-year-old girls. And Steve Earle said it best when they asked him about, this new country music. He said, I see how he phrased it. He said, country music today is just rap music for young white people that's scared of black people. And that really sums it up just right. I can see that, because listen to Sam Hunt. If you don't know Sam Hunt, I'm not going to get into it. But okay, we got Randy Travis came along, and let me click on Randy Travis real quick. I'll start with Randy Travis. He changed everything for me with Storms of Life. If you told me to list the top 5 best country albums of all time, I would be amazed if I didn't list Storms of Life as number 1. I can't think off the top of my head any album that beats Storms of Life for me personally. I remember being a child, about 14, looking for that because On the Other Hand was already out. As you know, On the Other Hand came out and failed. 1982 came out, was just a regular mild hit at the end of the top 10. So Warner Bros. Re-released On the Other Hand, and it was shot to number 1. It became a huge song for him. So that's kind of odd how you can release a song and it doesn't do anything, and then you can release it again and it becomes a huge hit. It's crazy. But so On the Other Hand was his first single, then 82, and then On the Other Hand again. Now where was I? Oh, sorry about that. I was looking for the album and I couldn't find it. And Randy Travis was in town opening up for George Jones that day. And I'll never forget this. He had a booth. Liv Hatcher, his wife and manager at the time, was at the booth selling his merchandise. By the time I didn't realize it was her till probably later. I know who that is now. I know who that lady is. That's Liv Hatcher, which is the Colonel Parker of Randy Travis's career. You know, Colonel Parker had Elvis. Liv Hatcher did a lot for Randy Travis, and I'm afraid Liv Hatcher might not get the credit she deserves because I know there was some. They're married, or they're, you know, she left her husband for him, and he was 28, you know, early 20s, and she was early 60s or something. She looked like she was a lot older than him. So I think that kind of weighs things. But if you go back and look at Randy Travis's career and everything Liv Hatcher did for him, she needs a lot of credit, not just for what she did, where she busted down doors to get Randy Travis seen by these record studios. And he got turned down by every studio in Nashville twice or more. But she didn't give up, and she pushed Randy. She believed in Randy Travis, and we have Randy Travis today because of Liv Hatcher. There's no doubt in my mind. But anyway, I was at this concert, and they had I keep saying album, but they had this cassette tape with Storms of Life. I couldn't find it in any stores, and I didn't have the money. I was 14 years old. I was depressed. I looked down. Right by my foot was a $20 bill. Can you believe that? Someone dropped a $20 bill, so I reached down, act like I was tying my shoe, picked that 20 up, bought that $10 cassette, and my life changed forever. Now, I was already a Randy Travis fan because I was there. I wasn't there to see George Jones, and I know that's sad. I don't hardly remember George Jones. I just wanted to see Randy Travis. At this time, I think Digging Up Bones was just starting to hit. The album was released in June 6th, and I'm not mistaken. That's about the same time that concert was. So that album probably came out that week. And that's why I couldn't find it until I went to that concert. But Randy Travis really changed everything for me. I went from, hey, I like music, I like Hank Jr. and I like this guy and I like this song, to, oh my God, I love country music. I love Randy Travis. My whole world just swapped around. Randy Travis changed everything. Sorry about that. So let's look at the Randy Travis album. We got On the Other Hand, of course, like I said, it was released twice, written by Paul Overstreet and Don Slitz. Amazing songwriters who, if you look into their, I mean, they've done a lot of stuff all over time, but if you look at that late 80s, early 90s, the stuff written by Paul Overstreet and Don Slitz, it will blow your mind. And I wish I had a list in front of me to list everything they wrote together, because it's amazing. And if I'm sure many of you probably know this, Paul Overstreet and Don Slitz started their own band. Skylar. Oh man, it's gonna kill me. Hold on a second. I should have all this ready. Hold on. Okay, SKO. It came to me. SKO. The S for Don Slith. The O for Paul Overstreet. The K was, I don't remember the K. Sorry. I should have it. But the thing, I think Don Slith's left and they changed it to. So anyway, I'm getting way off topic. Let me get back. Randy Travis. So we had the Paul Overstreet, Don Slith. Amazing songwriters who did it on the other hand. Then the second song on the album is The Storms of Life. Written by Troy Seals and Max D. Barnes. Troy Seals, amazing songwriter. I don't know much about Max D. Barnes, but Troy Seals, his name's come up a lot on albums back around this time period. But The Storms of Life, the title song from the album, just a great song, amazing song. The next one on the album was My Heart Cracked, but it did not break. I mean, just that title alone, how has that not been a song already? My Heart Cracked, but it did not break. And that right there, that's classic country. And I don't see how that couldn't be. And then you got another Paul Overstreet song, co-written by Al Gore. And I don't think it's the same Al Gore that ran for president that was vice president. If it was, I'll be amazed. But Digging Up Bones. And how can you not love Digging Up Bones, really? I mean, listen to this. I mean, how can you not love that, Digging Up Bones? Then we got another Paul Overstreet. Paul Overstreet's all over this album. As you can see, he's a lot over almost all albums back then. Paul Overstreet's amazing. No Place Like Home. A sad song about a guy leaving his wife, or being forced to leave his wife. The saddest thing he ever saw was his closet all cleaned out. I love that song as a kid. As a 14, 15-year-old. Right? But now that I'm in my 40s and I'm divorced, that song and like a lot of the songs on this album take a whole different meaning to me. So that's one thing I love about this album. It spoke to me as that teenager, but now as a grown man, divorced, these songs on here really, really hit me even more. Number 6, another song on the album was 1982, which is a great song too. We all know that was his first real single, his first top 10, and then we have Send My Body Home on a Freight Train that Randy Travis wrote. I already kind of seemed like a Western song to me, but we have that one, and then we have Messing With My Mind, a good song about, that a guy plays the field, plays the game, and he's just a guy that plays the field, and he's never going to settle down until he meets this one girl and changes his mind. Reasons I Cheat, another song written by Randy Travis, which very moving song about why the guy cheats on his wife. Really like that one. We closed out the album with There'll Always Be a Honky Tonk Somewhere. It's a Steve Clark song. Johnny McRae, I think, co-wrote it with him. That's another really good song to close out the album. But I don't want to really get into each song of the album, but although I just did that. But, this was an album produced by Keith Stegall. If you look up his work as producer, he's done a lot of amazing stuff. But released in June of 1986, Randy Travis' Storms of Life changed my life. And I can't get it out there how much that album changed everything. Because that's when I went from a kid to teenager to living my life as a country music fan, as a Randy Travis fan. I mean, I was just blown away by the whole album. And looking back at these songs now, I'm thinking, oh, these are adult songs. When most of my people my age were into, Guns N' Roses, Motley Crue, or, the pop hits or the heavy metal of the late 80s. Here I was in my room singing Reasons I Cheat. Here I am, they're out there rocking out with some Van Halen, and here I am loving My Heart Cracked But Did Not Break. So, strange kid maybe, but Storms of Life is an amazing album. So, also, as we talked about, I'm going to talk about because I'm going to talk about the 3 big ones that really helped shape country music, and the other one is Dwight Yoakam. And how can we not talk about Dwight Yoakam? He also was, I fell in love with, my 3 favorites from this time period was Hank Jr., Dwight Yoakam, Randy Travis, and Randy Travis by far. The thing about Randy Travis is he kind of went gospel, and I kind of, in the late 90s. I kind of got out of Randy Travis. Dwight Yoakam has been making great albums ever since then. Not to say that the Randy Travis albums aren't great. They just didn't connect with me as much as Dwight. Dwight's stuff, even his stuff today, is amazing work. He's still doing really good. And what I really love about Dwight, he writes most of his songs, like Hank Jr. And I know this might upset some Hank Jr. fans. I kind of lost interest in Hank Jr. a lot. I think the last album I bought from him was Wham Bam Sam. It seems like he does a lot of corny stuff. When I do hear it, now he might have more serious songs on his albums. But I hadn't bought a Hank Jr. album since, I think, Out of Left Field. Might have been, it was a Wham Bam Sam or Out of Left Field. Was one of the last ones I bought, and nothing on both of those really got me. The last good Hank Jr. album I remember buying that I really loved was either Hotel Whiskey or Pure Hank. I'm not sure which one came out first. They were right there around the same time. Now I think about it, I think Pure Hank came out after Hotel Whiskey. Am I right? And that to me, that's the end of Hank Jr. I hadn't listened to it, so maybe there's something. If you know a Hank Jr. album since then that I may have missed, I should have listened to, let me know. But I hear a lot from him, and it just seems like corny. And I don't know what it is about Hank Jr. I love Hank Jr. Don't get me wrong, I grew up on Hank. You can't grow up in the South and not like Hank Jr. I mean, they'll kick you out. They'll kick you out of Georgia. But get back to Dwight Yoakam. Now, this album was released in 1986, but actually it was released about a year earlier on the Oak label as an EP with, I think, I'm not looking at the top of my head, it was missing, I think, 3 songs. The Oak label one was, but I say Warner Brothers. It's actually released on the Reprise, but it's owned by Warner Brothers, so I'll just say Warner Brothers. They bought it and kind of reissued it and added, I think, Heartaches by the Number, maybe, and a couple other for the album. Now, this is why I want to thank Dwight Yoakam for this, and this is something I do feel is missing with this pop country or this new country, or as you might want to call it, bro country, whatever the crap is. And people tell me all the time, they say, well, it's not that the new country's bad, it's that, you didn't grow up on it, and music's always changed. The country music in the 90s that you so fondly of doesn't sound like the country music of the 70s. The 70s country music doesn't sound like country music of the 60s. Okay, I understand that. But there's Dwight Yoakam. I said Dwight Yoakam, new country music. Randy Travis, new country music. Steve Earle, a lot of rock in his music. He knew country music. Steve Earle could tell you who Chris Christopherson was. He could tell you who. I bet you anything, if I could call Steve Earle up and ask him, hey, do you know who Lefty Frizzell is? Of course, he probably could name 5 songs off the top of his head out of the blue. Dwight Yoakam, no question about it. He knew Buck Owens and that whole sound. He loved that whole Buck Owens Bakersfield sound. Excuse me. Randy Travis. There's no way he didn't know who Lefty Frizzell was. Ernest Tubb. People. I mean, this is Ernest Tubb. Sure, Randy Travis knows who Ernest Tubb is, and I'm sure Ernest Tubb wasn't like a superstar when Randy Travis was young. He was already an old artist. But you take Georgia Florida Line or Sam Hunt. Do you think Sam Hunt can tell you who Lefty Frizzell is? Do you think Sam Hunt can tell you who? I bet he couldn't name 3 Charlie Pride songs. So that's what people tell me. Like I said, people tell me, oh, you just don't understand that country music evolves. Well, yeah, it evolves, and I have no problem with that. But these artists like Sam Hunt and Georgia Florida Line, and maybe I'm wrong. I'll admit, maybe I'm wrong. I don't read interviews with them, but I just find it hard to believe that Sam Hunt can tell you 3. I bet he can't even name 3 album cut songs by Buck Owens. and I won't even go that far back. I bet Sam Hunt, Georgia Florida Line couldn't tell you 3 album cut songs by Randy Travis. I bet they couldn't name you a song off an album by Ricky Van Shelton. See what I'm saying? So I know music changes and it evolves, and sadly it evolved into pure crap. It evolved into country rap, bro country. It evolved from, let's see, Randy Travis singing about why he cheats on somebody, or Dwight Yoakam singing about, let me see what Dwight Yoakam sings about Dwight Yoakam singing about being buried or south of Cincinnati, or being drunk at a bar. It moved on from that. It evolved into what? Singing about rolling your window down, singing about doing a tailgate party. I heard a country music song that, this is no lie, and I didn't mean to turn this into a bashing of a new country. I don't know who sung it, but it was a new country singer. I mean, I don't know how new it was. It had to be, a year or two. It might be brand new, but it was a country music song about wearing headphones or earbuds. That's it. Randy Travis, sung songs about cheating on his wife. Dwight Yoakam sung songs about getting drunk in a bar and falling off a bar stool. And this new Sam Hunt, or whoever it was, sings about wearing headphones. Oh, so don't tell me country music just evolved. Okay, that what you're listening. I think it was Shooter Jennings said it best. That music you've been listening to ain't country. So it's not. But let's get back to Dwight Yoakam. I won't turn it into a bitch fest about that. But we start off the album with Johnny Horton's Honky Tonk Man. Classic. See, Honky Tonk Man, classic. And Dwight Yoakam used to sing this in his punk bars. Dwight Yoakam sung in punk bars in Los Angeles, California. But he's country. Okay? I mean, that's what was so great about, like I said, so great about this time period. Everybody was having different sounds, but they were all still in that country root that's missing today. The next on the album was It Won't Hurt. That's the drunk song about being on a bar stool. Sadly, that was a single, but I don't see how that didn't become a number one. It was. I don't even think it got into the top 10. It Won't Hurt. If you don't know that first album, and I don't even think I told you the name of it, for Guitars, Cadillacs, etc., etc. It Won't Hurt. That's a great drinking song. Listen to that. That's an amazing song. Then number 3 is I'll Be Gone, another song written by Dwight Yoakam. 4, South of Cincinnati, another great one. And then there were, I can't remember who he sung this with. I'm sorry, Bury Me, a duet about where he wants to be buried when he dies, another great song. And then we got classic Dwight Yoakam, Guitars, Cadillacs, which is, I mean, if you put in the Hall of Fame of country music songs, that's Guitars, Cadillacs is up there. I mean, that's as hillbilly as you get. That's as Bakersfield as you get. That's as classic country as you get. Guitars, Cadillac. I mean, really, if you listen to this album and you played Honky Tonk Man and Guitars, Cadillac, and you asked maybe the newer person that don't know which one of these songs is a cover from an old country song back in the 50s or 60s, they would have a hard time telling you. Now, if I asked you Honky Tonk Man or maybe It Won't Hurt, you can kind of tell, hey, It Won't Hurt is probably like the newer song. But Guitars, Cadillac is pure country. Anyway, then we got 20 Years, another song that reminds me of a Western time about a guy that's going to go to jail for murder for 20 years. Or is it a woman? I hadn't heard it in a while. I think it was a woman now that I think about it. And then we got the Johnny Cash cover. I know people say, oh, man, this song's written by June Carter. Did you know that? It's a Ring of Fire. People tell me, I've heard this all the time. Did you know June Carter wrote Ring of Fire, the Johnny Cash hit song about him? And I have to stop them. I say, yeah, she wrote it, but let's give credit to the other half, Merle Kilgore. Let's not forget old Merle Kilgore. If you're saying who is he, just look up Merle Kilgore. I guess like I said, Randy Travis had Liv Hatcher, Elvis had Colonel Parker, then Hank Williams Jr. had Merle Kilgore. Merle Kilgore was like Hank Jr.'s father to him. Not because as Hank Sr. passed away when Hank was 3. My daddy died when I was 3. Yeah, he did. But Merle Kilgore was almost like a father figure to Hank Jr. or was a father figure. So we got that, and we got Miner's Prayer. Oh, this is by far if you took my top 10 Dwight Yoakam songs, or top 5. This is right up there. Miner's Prayer, a chilling song about working in the coal mines. My grandfather was from West Virginia. His family all worked in the coal mines. I think he kind of got out of it and joined the Air Force so he wouldn't have to work in the coal mines. But it's a chilling song about working in the coal mine. It's a really great song. And then we got a Harlan Howard cover again, Heartaches by the Number. And just looking over this list, we got Honky Tonk Man, Ring of Fire, Heartaches by the Number. That's 3 cover of classic country songs. Do you think Sam Hunt's got 3 classic country covers on his album? Do you think any of these new guys got 1 classic song like that on their albums? Okay, there I am. I'm bitching about the new again. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to turn this, like I said, I didn't aim to turn this into a whole bitch fest about new country, but I think anyone listening to this is going to agree with me on how I feel about new country. And let me just add, I keep saying new country, but if you turn off your country music radio and get online or look around, country music is going through this new phase right now. This is almost like 1986 again in country music. You got Sturgill Simpson, you got Margo Price, you got a lot of new country artists. They might not be getting radio play, but Sturgill Simpson, he's winning awards and everything. If you never listen to these people, and I hope to do a whole talk about this because I got a whole list of them, and I'm scared I'm going to forget people now. There's a whole thing. I mean, Margo Price. Have you listened to Margo Price? She is as about as country you're going to get. Her album is amazing. And it's so sad to me that people like Margo Price, they're not getting this airplay. Sure, I mean, they're getting recognized as they're getting recognized as being great singers and everything, but they're not getting airplay. They're not, the common person doesn't know. If you don't go out looking for country music, you're not going to find it by turning on your radio station. That's for damn sure. But I want to say that because I want to do a whole episode talking about new country. But that was Dwight Yoakam's Guitars, Cadillacs, etc., etc. Again, that was a very moving album for me as a kid buying that. I keep saying as a teenager, like the Randy Travis Storms of Life. But what was great about that Dwight Yoakam opened my eyes to Buck Owens. Now, before this album, and especially his third album that has Streets of Bakersfield on it, it really opened my eyes to Buck Owens. But to me, Buck Owens was that doofy guy on Hee Haw that my dad used to watch with Roy Clark. That was my Buck Owens knowledge, was the guy from Hee Haw. So Dwight Yoakam opened my eyes to the whole Bakersfield sound. I didn't know what Bakersfield was. I didn't know anything. So I have a lot of credit to thank Dwight Yoakam for opening my eyes to not just that country music in the late 80s of 1986, but he opened my eyes to Buck Owens, and it made me really go back. Hey, I want to find out who this guy is. I want to find out who, I'm digging this new guy, Dwight Yoakam. Let me see what he's listening to. He keeps talking about this Buck Owens. He likes that guy on Hee Haw. I said, what? Let me find this. What? This guy's more than just Hee Haw? He's more than just Tiger by the Tail, Buck Owens? Wait. Who's this playing guitar with Buck Owens? Don Rich? Well, let me look into him. And it just Buck. And then I'm like, Bakersfield sound. What's that mean? Oh yeah, I know Merle Haggard. Bakersfield. Let me listen to Merle Haggard, some more Merle Haggard, maybe besides the hits. So Dwight Yoakam really opened that up for me, and I think he opened up for a lot of people during this time. And so I got a lot to thank for Dwight. I got a lot for Randy Travis. He really opened me to the real country, and then I got Dwight Yoakam with showing me the Bakersfield stuff. Other new artists around this time, I think, was Holly Dunn. Judy Rodman was really good. Y'all remember Judy Rodman? I think she had one big song that was a cover of a Bob Dylan song, Be My Baby Tonight. And I thought Judy Rodman, she won all the awards. I thought she was going to be really huge. And I think she had 1 or 2 singles, and then she just fell off the radar. And you know what? I know her label. I think she was with the Mary Tyler Moore, a record label. I think they went bankrupt or closed down, and I never heard any more from her. Ricky Van Shelton, I think, came along in '87. He He came around right around the end of 86, 87. And that's another one. Ricky Van Shelton. You remember him? With Somebody Lied and, that first album, Crime of Passion. Remember that? Crime of Passion? He was really huge. And I'll admit, I think it was 87, 88. He kind of started taking the awards away from Randy Travis. And I was like, I like this guy's music, but hey, he's going after my boy Randy. I can't have that. But I know he has some alcohol problems, but he kind of sadly dropped off too. I hadn't seen Ricky Van Shelton in years. He kind of just, he was at the top of the charts and he was gone after, 3 or 4 albums, sadly. But I was always a fan of his. But and another one that was really, I was going to talk more about him, but I think I'm going to save it, man. I've talked this along so much. Keith Whitley, of course, came out right around, I think his first album, LA to Miami, was a little bit before 1986, but he's right there in that little group of helping change everything. In fact, there's a side note you might not know, on Keith Whitley's first album, LA to Miami, he has On the Other Hand on that album. So he recorded it before Randy Travis. That's right. Keith Whitley recorded On the Other Hand before Randy Travis did.
But on the other hand, there's a golden band to remind me of someone who couldn't understand.
But I think that album came out around at the same time, if I remember right. But it wasn't Keith Whitley's LA to Miami album. LA to Miami was a great album. If you never listened to it, check it out. It's got LA to Miami. I'm trying to think. Oh, God, that's a good song. No, not LA to. That's the name of the album. The song was Miami, Miami. Anybody remember that song? Miami. Oh, that was great. Keith Whitley. Now, I know a lot of people, when people think Keith Whitley, they think Don't Close Your Eyes and his later stuff, kind of like after the LA to Miami album, because the album didn't really do much. I think Miami, Miami was maybe a top 10 hit at the most, top 20, and the album really didn't do much. I think it had Homecoming 63 on it, which didn't really blow away the charts either. So the album really kind of faded out, and it wasn't until 88, Don't Close Your Eyes album and all that came out, and then sadly he passed away in 89. But Keith Whitley, I don't want to say too much, because I would love to do a whole thing about Keith Whitley. And let me just look up one more real quick and pull it up just so I can make sure I'm. Okay, sorry about that. I just want to pull this up because I want to talk about, also released in March of 1986, and I just saw this at Barnes & Noble, so apparently they reissued it on vinyl. So if you're into vinyl and you can't find the original, which is, it's not like it's worth a lot of money. I think you can pick it up on eBay probably pretty cheap. That's Steve Earle's Guitar Town. Now, the reason I want to talk about this, because it's another great album, like I've said it 3 or 4 times already, that Randy Travis, Dwight Yoakam, Steve Earle were the new boys of 1986, and all three had a different sound rooted in country music. Although Steve Earle is by far more rock country than anybody else, than the other ones. You classify him as rockabilly or country rock, whatever you want to call it. I think if you ask Steve Earle, he would just call it music. I don't think he wants to label it. In fact, I think, but let's take a look into this album. It starts off with Guitar Town. In other words, this is one, Steve Earle wrote all the songs on this one. And I don't know if I mentioned it before. Dwight Yoakam wrote all the songs on his album, except for the covers. And I think, and he wrote all by himself, or either him and Pete Anderson wrote it. His producer, Pete Anderson, which is a great producer and a great guitar picker, Pete Anderson. I didn't mention him when I talked about that album. But Steve Earle wrote every song on this album. I think he co-wrote a couple. But he had his name on something. But it starts off Guitar Town, classic song. Everybody knows Guitar Town is classic Steve Earle. Goodbye is all we got left to say. Another one. I don't really have much to say about that one, but it's an amazing one. Hillbilly Highway. A song I actually heard Highway 101 do live in concert. You remember that band, Highway 101? That's another one that was really up there. And it kind of just fell off out of the blue. I know Paulette Carlson, was that her name? She left the band and they brought someone else on, and it wasn't Highway 101 after that. I think she came back and they tried to redo stuff, but man, I liked Highway 101. What happened to them? That's I hate that. I hate when I like a band or artist and they kind of just disappear. It's like what's going on? But okay, we got Hillbilly Highway, another great song, and then we got Good Old Boys Getting Tough. That's a good one. We got My Old Friend the Blues, kind of really blues, slow number right there. And then Someday. Someday is a great song, and I think Someday a lot of people love the song Someday, and I think it kind of took a life of its own. It's one of those songs where years later people like it. It's kind of like Steve Earle's Copperhead Road. Remember that? His album Copperhead Road, and he had the lead single, My Name's John Lee Penmore, Copperhead Road. When Copperhead Road came out, no one gave a shit. Copperhead Road, nobody bought it, nobody cared. And then all of a sudden, but now it's on everybody's Steve Earle's classic, Copperhead Road. Everybody knows Copperhead Road. But the single and everything flopped when that came out. And it disappointed me because I love that album. And I was like, why ain't they playing Copperhead Road on the radio? This is an amazing song. Or Snake Oil was another good one. But we're not talking Copperhead Road. We'll say that for some other time. Think It Over. Now, I don't have as much. Sadly, I should have listened to this album. Dwight Yoakam, Ring Travis, I listened to so much I can tell you all about it. But we had Think It Over, Fearless Heart. That kind of reminds me of an 80 song, maybe John Cougar, something around that. Fearless Heart's a really good song. Little Rock and Roller was a really good song. I really liked that one. It was about Steve Earle being on the road. He goes to call his wife, and his son answers, and he can't believe his son answers the phone because, it's just like his son was just a little baby or just a little kid, and here he is answering the phone. It's like he's just missing all this time. That was on the flip side of the Guitar Town. I think that's because, of course, I bought the single first, Guitar Town, so I really wore out Guitar Town and Little Rock and Roller before I bought the album. Down the Road is another one. Like I said, I haven't listened to this album in a long time. And I apologize for that. I know I went into more detail about Randy Travis and Dwight Yoakam, so it sounds like I don't have any love for Guitar Town. But that's not true. It's just I haven't really listened to Guitar Town lately like I have Guitars, Cadillacs, etc., etc. And Storms of Life I wore out. Now, Storms of Life I have on vinyl, I have on cassette tape, I have on CD, I have digitally downloaded. Storms of Life is, like I said, my favorite album of all time, so of course I'm going to know all about it. But that, and Dwight Yoakam's probably second. Guitar Town would probably be in my top 10. I feel like I kind of feel bad that I feel like I'm not talking enough about the Guitar Town album, how good these songs are. But, okay, we're going on almost an hour of talk here. Okay, I just want to go back now to 1986. I want to touch on some things that happened that year because when I first started doing this, like I said, I didn't really plan anything. I was going to talk about a lot of different artists and I ended up just covering 3 of those that really influenced me, are really seen as the new traditionalists that really changed country music in 1986. Sadly, in 1986, George Strait's 13-year-old daughter was killed in a car accident. That's so sad. It's tragic. And it's amazing that when you look at George Strait's career after 86, that he was able to continue that success. Because I think some of his biggest hits came right around that time. Because you would think, you lose your daughter, 13-year-old daughter, in a car wreck. That's going to devastate you, and you're not going to be writing songs and everything. So he probably put a lot of his focus from mourning her loss into into work, into making his career. That way he wouldn't, kind of take his mind off things as much as he could. That had to be tragic. Also, in 1986, Johnny Cash was dropped from Columbia Records after 28 years. I mean, it's Johnny Cash. How did you drop Johnny Cash from your record label? It makes no sense. They're just some artists that you don't drop. Like Warner Brothers dropped Randy Travis. And this really got me upset. Randy Travis just got a letter one day that said, "Hey, we're parting ways." Look what Randy Travis did for Warner Brothers Records back in the early 90s. He really put them on the map. He made a lot of money for Warner Brothers. I think it was run at the time by Nick Hunter. Is that right? Back in the late 80s. But anyway, so I think management and everything's changed by that time. But I think sometime around the early 2000s, he just went to his mailbox and got a letter that said, "Hey, thanks for 10, 15 years of making us a lot of money, but your last album didn't make us any money, so screw you, we're gone." So I think he went to DreamWorks after that and some other labels. But his last couple albums, he went back to Warner Brothers. So I guess he didn't take it as personal as I did. He didn't get as upset like I did. And like I said, every song for that year, number one, was a different song. So, you had 52 weeks that year, so you had 52 country songs. That's kind of amazing. So let's close this out because I feel like I've talked about an hour. Let's look at the CMAs, the Country Music Association's top awards for that year, and just kind of reflect on some of that. We'll start with Group of the Year. No big surprise, the Oak Ridge Boys. I mean, they were amazing. I don't got much to say about them. They had some good songs. I've never been a huge Oak Ridge Boys fan. I don't not like them. I just, there's some artists that you love, and then there's some artists that you can't stand, and then there's some artists who are just, I like their music, but that's just who they are. I don't pay much attention to them. Sadly, I mean, they got some good songs. Music Video of the Year, George Jones. Who's Gonna Fill Their Shoes? I love that video. That's a really good video. Who's Gonna Fill Their Shoes? Really, really great song. And you remember hearing all the talk. Well, Randy Travis, Dwight Yoakam, Ricky Van Shelton, George Strait. That's who's going to fill the shoes. Well, who's going to fill George Strait's shoes? Who's going to fill Randy Travis' shoes? Who's going to fill Dwight Yoakam's shoes? Sam Hunt, Georgia Florida Line, Luke Bryant. God damn, that's sad. Anyway, like I said, okay, Horizon Award. Do they still do the Horizon Award? That was like newcomer of the year. And of course, Randy Travis took that. No big shock there. If he didn't win the Horizon Award, something was wrong with the CMAs. I mean, he had 1982 was a big hit, and of course, on the other hand, monster hit after that. So then we had, I'm sorry. Let me correct something. The Oak Ridge Boys won Instrumental Group of the Year. Okay, I don't know what Instrumental Group of the Year is because I wouldn't think of the Oak Ridge Boys being instrumental. So, but the Vocal Group of the Year, I didn't know there were two categories for that. Went to the judge, and I think the judge won this every year for 2,000 years or something. So that's no big surprise. The Duo of the Year, and that's different than group duos when they kind of would just come at one time to sing a song together. And that would be Dan Seals and Marie Osmond won that. I know they have Meet Me in Montana. Did they have something else out? Because they're kind of not like for song. Meet Me in Montana is a great song. I really like Dan Seals. Did y'all like Dan Seals? I didn't know the rock Dan Seals. I didn't even know he did, pop music until years later. But Dan Seals, there's a song called One Friend by Dan Seals. I don't think it was a single. I think it was on the flip side of Everything That Glitters. I'm not, or maybe Bop. I'm not sure. But if you don't know that song, One Friend by Dan Seals, check it out.
I could move a mountain with someone to tell it to. If I had only one friend left, I'd want it to be.
Female Vocalist of the Year, no big surprise here. Reba McEntire, she took that home award. She probably won it for a couple of years. Male vocalist went to George Strait, which I would have thought I'd been an entertainer, but he took Male Vocalist of the Year. Of course, again, at this time, Reba McEntire and George Strait were the king and queen of country. You know, Randy Travis was coming up and Dwight Yoakam, but you couldn't touch Reba McEntire or George Strait, so that's not surprising right there. Album of the Year. Now, I think this album came out in '85 because you know how it works. The award show's in '86, so it kind of goes for the whole year. Lost in the 50s Tonight by Ronnie Milsap. And then we got Single of the Year, Bop by Dan Seals. Another, like I said, I just talked about Dan Seals. This is a great song, and Bop. Bop was a great song right there. Excuse me, Bop was Single of the Year. Song of the Year, which goes to the writer. Now, single goes to the artist, am I right? And song goes to the writer. Single was Bop. Pretty fun, catchy tune. I liked it when it was out. Song of the Year, On the Other Hand, written by Paul Overstreet and Don Slitz. I mean, come on, I talked about Randy Travis for an hour, so not there. So, you know, I don't have anything else to say about that. But it is funny, I mean, I talked about this, that you can release a song and nobody cares about it. Radios won't play it. It gets to like number 60 in the charts. You release another song, 1982, it makes it into the top 10. So you go back and release that song, On the Other Hand, that flopped, which is got to give them, that's a ballsy move for Warner Brothers. So whoever's playing it was to re-release that, because you have an artist, right? You know, 1982, you know you had reaches the top 10. That next single's got to blow them away, right? Because Randy Travis easily could have become a one-hit wonder if that second single didn't pop. So they went back and said, hey, let's re-release On the Other Hand. A song that made it into the top 60, that ran around about 64, 65, and they did. It became a huge hit for him and became Song of the Year. That's crazy. And we'll round up the award show with Entertainer of the Year, Reba McEntire. So again, I'm not really surprised. Like I said, Reba was the queen of country at this time, and George Strait was the king. Sadly, Dwight Yoakam didn't win anything, but he was just coming up, and no love for Hank Williams Jr., but as we all know, in the next coming years, he will take home Entertainer of the Year for the next couple of years in a row. But I really hope you enjoyed listening. Like I said, I talked for about an hour, so my mouth is really dry. And like I said, this is something I hope to do more of. So please, if you listen to this, click the like button. If you hadn't already, subscribe to the channel. But let me know in the comments below if you'd like me to do more of these. Maybe next time I'll plan it out a little bit more, write what I'm going to talk about. Like I said, hopefully this will take off, and I'll be able to use you guys as saying, hey, look, people want to hear more of this, and I'll be able to use that as a way to get guests and reach out to maybe some singers back in the 90s and the early 80s that I would love to talk to. I don't know what happened to David Lynn Jones, but I'll talk about his album. Hard Luck on Easy Street was a great album that's been overlooked by a lot of people. Don't know that album. You might know the one single, the hit from the album, Bonnie Jean, Little Sister. You might know it, but that's an amazing album, and it gets overlooked. So again, click like so I'll know you enjoyed this. Subscribe if you hadn't, and comments below. Anything you want to say, just to let me know you're out there. And if you want more of these, just tell me you want more, and I'll do another one. And I know I don't update this account much anymore, but if you guys are liking this podcast thing, my plan is to do one a week or one every other week, and really try to get this thing to take off. And maybe we'll have some guests on. So until the next time we do it again, let me know what you think, and thank you for listening.